Hey everybody, today is Monday, November 16th. My name is Will, and these are my thoughts. Okay, so I had an entirely different video, like written out, shot, recorded, in the edit bay, everything. And then at the last minute, I was like, you know what? There's actually something different that I want to say today. So like a lot of people, when quarantine started, I was stuck trying to figure out stuff to do. Like I've worked from home for a little over a year now. And so whenever I got done with that, there was just a lot of still time in the day to fill and a lack of things outside of our apartment to fill it with. And then also a surplus of mental health threats, loneliness, isolation, lack of outlet, all that kind of stuff to go along with it. But I had also, probably 8 or 9 months before that, also started working on a book. Probably about August of that year, so August 2019, right before we got married. And I was pretty much done with it. And I realized through that whole process that I just really enjoyed writing. And then all of a sudden, through pretty unfortunate circumstances, I had a surplus amount of time to focus on writing. So I finished the first one and started working on a couple of more different projects. And while those have been / are in various stages of development, I think anybody who's ever gone through the publishing process knows what an incredible emotional grind it is. First of all, I'd never done anything like it before, and I had to learn the process starting from square one, which in my case meant going to Caveat Coffee in Homewood, Alabama, and Googling how to query a literary agent. Slowly but surely learning and completing that process until my brain turned to goop, only to have it mostly turn up rejections across the board. And that's not even that much of a reflection on me or my ability. Pretty much anybody who's ever queried something to an agent or tried to get a book or any kind of writing project published, it can be a nightmare. So there I was in quarantine, frustrated by the limitations of the quarantine itself, and then also frustrated by this process that I was trying to go through to get my first book published, and that not going particularly well. And the outlet for both of those things was an idea that I had previously, but just didn't have the time or the wherewithal to really try it. And in that sort of frustration place of just continuing to knock on doors and have them all say no, just kept going, and it has persisted all the way up until now on multiple different projects. And it's just kind of gotten to the point where I could either just continue on in that same process, or I could try something different. And with this particular project, which I will outline in a second, it probably was never going to make it through the traditional publishing route just because of the nature of it. And I've been trying to find the right pathway for it to, make it out of my Google Docs and so that people can read it. And I think finally, after, months of frustration, and even today, just being in that same place mentally of, frustration and not really know where to go next, I think I might have found a way out. And so basically what I'm telling you is that I am going to try and get this project published myself. And that is not quite as thorny of a process as traditional publishing. There's no agents to query, no editors to send the manuscript to afterwards. But self-publishing also has a number of different hurdles that make it unique. First, for me, I don't feel comfortable editing it all myself. So there's people who will do that professionally, freelance it. So you have to send it to an editor, and then you have to figure out a marketing strategy and then a distribution strategy, all three of which cost money, and I have been hoping that this project would turn into a collaborative one. So what I am coming into your computer screens today to say is that I would like you to be a part of it. And what that's going to take form of is a GoFundMe that will hopefully help raise enough money to get the book published. If it doesn't get all the way there, I will find a way to make that happen. But there's a link in the description of this video to that GoFundMe. There will also be a link and periodic updates on willshingleton.com, which is also a thing that has happened recently, and there is a link to that in the description as well. So I hear you ask, what is this book that you are trying to get us to crowdfund? Well, I'm very glad to be able to tell you. So it's called Seamless Transition, and it tells the story of a legendary Nick Saban type coach and his transition out of that position, and then the rise of a young up-and-coming coach to take that spot and all of the various underpinnings and drama that come along with that transition. It's not a traditional book so much as a bookumentary is more of what I've been calling it in my head, because I had the idea previously what I wanted it to be about, but it wasn't until I watched The Last Dance, like everybody else in America, that I figured out the form I wanted it to take, and that's kind of in written form the way that it tracks. And you may hear that title, Seamless Transition, and be like, that seems pretty ironic for the current times. Yeah, it's been called that preliminarily for months, so it's just a coincidence, but it is a funny coincidence. And I think it's pretty good. I'm excited to see what it will end up being after it's edited. That process is expensive both in terms of money and time. So I think maybe conservatively, the earliest that it would come out would be the fall, so around football season of next year. But if you are kind enough to donate to getting it published, there will, of course, be perks on the other side of that donation. So I'm hoping to get it printed and distributed in 3 different forms, the kind of the traditional publishing forms, which would be, at the moment, would be an ebook, and then a paperback book, and a hardback book. So I will figure out more details about what that will look like later, but I think based on how much money you would give to helping get it published, you would get free ebook or a free paperback or a free hardback book, all of which would be signed, and potentially other merchandise that we will hopefully be creating around the book itself. So this is an announcement of what I'm trying to accomplish through this. This isn't saying it's going to happen. This may all be a disaster and fall apart, and I may, fall flat on my face. But it's worth a try, and this is also me just getting my writing and something I'm quite passionate about out into the world for other people to hopefully enjoy and be a part of. So yeah, there's that. And be sure, I will, of course, be updating everyone periodically on what's going to happen with the book next over the next few weeks and months, as well as how fundraising is going, merchandise, any updates I have about an editor, any of that kind of stuff. I will keep you guys abreast of all of that. But even if you don't give any money or never read the book, thank you for being a part of this journey with me, and I hope that it goes where we want it to. I'm Will. Those are my thoughts, and I'll see you guys next Monday.